morning. How are you on this morning? I want to chat with you about fear. That's the word of the week, fear. Let's talk about it. What are you afraid of? Or well, who are you afraid of? You might say, I'm not afraid of anybody or anything. Okay. So, what's stopping you from pursuing your dreams, pursuing that vision that's locked up on the inside of you? What's stopping you? That dream that just won't go away. That vision that keeps popping up in your mind over and over and over again. What's stopping you? What's stopping you from pursuing that? Is it fear? Is it the fear of people? Is it the fear that you're not good enough? Is it the fear of success, failure? Is it the fear that you might not have what it takes? What is it? Because I'm going to tell you, fear is crippling. It can be crippling. Fear will handicap you and cause you to give up on your hopes and your dreams and your goals and aspirations. Yes, it will cause you to give up on everything that you dream and envision for your life. Don't become a victim of fear. Don't allow fear to rule and reign in your life. Refuse to live your life in fear. Because see, God didn't give us a spirit of fear. The word says God gave us the spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. So next time you're confronted with fear or fear comes knocking at your door, just remember that God has given you the power to overcome fear. And know that fear can be deceptive. Oh, yeah. Fear will make you believe things are worse than they really are. That people are worse than they really are. That your kids are worse than they really are. That job is worse than it really is. Fear can be deceptive. Fear will present to you false evidence appearing real and then turn around and attempt to torment you with that same false information, but only if you allow it to. Yeah, it'll present you with false evidence appearing real and then torment you with that same false information. But it only can happen if you allow it to. I was reading a study that says 80 to 90% of the things that we worry about, the things that we fear will never happen, will never manifest. Again, false evidence appearing real. See, the goal of fear is to hinder you or hinder us from reaching our destiny. Fear has an agenda. Oh, yeah, you better believe it. Fear has an agenda. And the purpose of fear is to stop you from pursuing your purpose, to stop your purpose from being fulfilled in the earth realm. So fear has an agenda. And do you know that fear is the root of most of our issues? Fear is at the root. Fear is at the root of our anxiety. It's at the root of our worry, stress, sleeplessness. Fear is at the root of our power trips and control. See, if our life is controlled by fear, we'll never have a peace of mind. We'll never really love again because we've been hurt. We'll never trust because we've been betrayed. We'll never move out or take that leap of faith because we're too afraid or scared to. We'll never move out of our comfort zones if our life is controlled by fear. See, fear will always tempt us to shrink back and not do what God has called us to do. It will always tempt us to shrink back, to fall back, and not do everything that God has called us to do. Fear will also cause you to worry excessively about what other people think of you. And let me just say this. If you live your life based on what other people think of you, get ready to live an unfulfilled life, a life of no meaning, no purpose, no risk taking, no peace. If you live your life based on what other people think of you, is it worth it? Is it worth it? That's too much to give up. That's too much to sacrifice. So it's time for us to release fear and let go of fear so that we can be able to reach our maximum potential. It's time for us to release fear. Now, fear will always be lurking. It will always show up. There's no way around it. But when it shows up, we don't have to yield or succumb to it. See, when fear shows up, we can step out anyway. Be bold anyway. Be courageous anyway. Trust God. because he got you. He said, I would never leave you nor forsake you. Even when you don't feel his presence, even when you don't feel like God is around and you don't believe he's with you. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. So he is there. He is there. So just trust God and do it anyhow. Let me leave you with this word. I'm going to read it to you. Proverbs 29:25. It says, the fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord will be safe. Or you can say it like this: the fear of people is a dangerous trap, but trusting God means safety. The fear of people is dangerous. That's a dangerous trap. Do you know the fear of man will cause you to miss your destiny? Cause you to shrink back and not move forward and not step out. When you fear man, it will tempt you to do the things that they want you to do or they think you should do instead of you following the instructions of God. Yeah, when you fear people, you're tempted to do what they think you should do instead of doing what God has instructed you to do. That's why you can't fear man. When you fear people, you have to be careful because it puts you in a situation, in a position to be manipulated and controlled by them. When you fear people, it places you in a position to be controlled and manipulated by them. That's why it's so imperative that we fear God and not man, because it's dangerous. I like something that Paul said in Galatians 1. Paul said, you know, is it that I'm seeking to the approval of man? He said, am I now seeking the approval of man or God? You know, am I trying to please people? He said, I can't, please God and people at the same time. Either I'm a servant of Christ or a people pleaser. Either I'm a servant of Christ or a people pleaser. One or the other, but you only can have one master. So our goal and our aim should be to please God. And when you do that, you can't go wrong. It keeps you safe. And to be honest, there are some people that you'll never be able to satisfy or never be able to please anyway. No matter what you do, how you do, when you do it, you'll never be able to please them. Enough will never be enough. So why not just go ahead and make a decision and make it your priority that you're going to please God? And when you please God, whoever else need to be pleased will be pleased in the process. But if you just make him your number one agenda, your number one goal, seek his approval, and everybody else that you need to please will be pleased in the process. Because there are some people that whatever you do, it'll never be right. You'll never be able to satisfy them. You'll never be able to please them. So just keep your eye on him and make sure that your focus is to please him and avoid the fear of man. Avoid fearing people. Avoid that. God said fearing people is a dangerous trap. Don't allow your fear to hinder you any longer, to hinder you from pursuing your dreams and your goals and your visions and your aspirations. Don't allow fear to cripple you and handicap you from doing all that God has created and called you to do. It's time to step out. It's time to be bold and courageous. In spite of what you feel, in spite of what you're afraid of, do it anyway. Do it anyhow. Fear has no control over you, only the control that you allow it to have. So release it and let it go. Well, I'm out of time. I hope this word was a blessing to you. I hope it encourages you to not allow fear to dictate, control, rule, and reign in your life. Not any longer. If fear is controlling you, from this day forward, fear will no longer rule and reign in your life. Make that decision today. No more fear. Even when fear comes or it shows its face or when it knocks on your door or when it presents itself, you know what? You say, I'm going to step out anyway. I'm going to do it anyhow, regardless of what I feel. Because see, it's too important for me to get to where God needs me to be. I can't miss my destiny because of fear. I can't miss helping the people God has called me to help because of fear. I can't miss doing for my family because of fear. I can't risk being the person that I have always been called to be by God because of fear. Doing all the great things that he's called me to do because of fear. Being a person of greatness because of fear. I can't risk that. I can't allow fear to do that to me. Do that to my life. Do that to my legacy. It's not worth it. So until we meet again, I love you. May the peace of God and the favor of God be with you. Have a good week.